Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? I don't normally record hot takes or videos in the afternoon. So, when I bring you one, it is important, or at least I think it's important. And this particular one comes from a speech that Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, gave today in the European Union, the ECB, European Central Bank. And before we get into it, do me a favor. I record videos every day that are important to money, investing. If you like that, you like original content, you like live streams, no fancy editing, do me a favor, hit that like, the thumbs up button, and also subscribe. Subscription or user counts is the thing that I track for my weekly goals. So if you like this stuff, you like videos short every day, do me a favor, hit that subscription button. So on to Jerome Powell. So at the European Central Bank, Jerome Powell was asked what are his fears about the current crisis we are in. And if you know anything about the Fed chairs, all the way back to Janet Yellen, Ben Bernanke, Alan Greenspan, they're always ones to be, I've always known them to be kind of the glass is half full. They are economists. So if you ask an economist about something, they say, hey, it's this, that, or the other thing. They don't really answer questions. I think Jerome Powell answered this question, and he outlined 4 areas that we all should acknowledge, we should all appreciate and understand, right? If we're in as real estate investors, we need to appreciate consumers. They are both the users of rentals and our competition for buying. So when you look at the current crisis, these are the 4 things Jerome Powell talked about. First and foremost, he is concerned about women who have been forced to leave the workforce. If you haven't heard already, there are numbers out that should be frightening. Almost 1 million women have left the workforce since the crisis began, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. The lion's share of the children raising or duties or whatever that is called, unfortunately falls on the women in relationships, right or wrong. It's happening. And again, 1 million women have had to leave the workforce, which, oh, by the way, seems interesting since we're talking about that on Thursday. That 1 million women who have left the workforce are not, repeat, not included in the U3 unemployment number that was reported today and also reported last Friday. So when you see the U3 or the headline unemployment down to 6.9%, realize that 1 million women are out of the workforce and not included in that number, and thus artificially bringing that number low. We should be talking about the U6, which I think is about 12% today, but of course the media doesn't want to talk about that. So again, that's a significant number. It is going to be a while to bring them back. Then there's a whole gap in employment, and it's unfortunate. We were making some significant headway. Next, Jerome Powell talks about the children or kids missing education, not getting the quality or quantity of education they normally would have gotten. It's going on a full calendar year now. And I thought that one was interesting because the children's education, that gap, that's going to have ripple effects for years to come. Whether you were a 3rd grader before this and by the time it's done you're going into 5th, you're behind, right? We haven't had that chance for them to learn. You can argue that our education system was already broken and not teaching anything about except memorization, but even that now is kind of broken. Whether you are in grade school or middle school or high school or college, the education of our kids, our next generations, has been disrupted. And I thought it was interesting that Jerome Powell brought that up because his whole point to this discussion was we are not, repeat, not going back to the same economy we had in January of 2020. It is going to be different. It is going to be slow. It is going to be uncomfortable for lots and lots of people. Number 3, he was probably most reserved, which maybe I could read as disappointed, in the number of small and medium-sized businesses that have been impacted by this crisis. He goes on to talk about the loss of generations of intellectual capital. For me, this is the restaurant, the the grocery, the small mini mart, or whatever it is that was in the family for 3, 4, 5 generations. Might have even survived the Great Depression I've heard of, but they couldn't survive this crisis. So the loss of intellectual capital for small and medium-sized business, not only the economic loss, but the physical toll and mental toll that will take on people who lost something that was in the family for generations and frankly had hoped to be in families for generations to come. And then the last one, of course, Jerome Powell, this is the one I kind of expected, talks about the low-skilled workers who are selling hours and servicing, retail clients and restaurants and things of that nature, hotel workers. Being out of work 6 months is very detrimental to skills, very detrimental to individuals. We have a growing population of people who fell off the 26 week standard unemployment, now are in the emergency. He is already hinting that we may need more of that, which it expires in January, I believe. So, we're in that number, I got that this morning, is just over 3 million people who have rolled off of 26 weeks of unemployment into the CARES Act, the emergency program. So pretty scary. So in the end, Jerome Powell was pretty reserved. He thinks we as a nation are going to have an economy that is not clicking on all cylinders going forward. Admits that the economy will be different, which I think we all need to appreciate. He talks about technology, work from home, telework, automation, really impacting that frontline worker, and we need to be careful there as well. People will need to get to some training and things of that nature. So in the end, I read this article, read the speech from Jerome Powell. It kind of made me nervous, so I thought I'd record a live stream for you. Again, if you like talking money, investing, just reviewing what's going on in the world today, do me a favor, hit subscribe. That's all we do here. We don't do videos for the YouTube algorithm. We don't, do silly stimulus videos or clickbait. The title is "What Scares Jerome Powell?" and what do? We talk about what scares Jerome Powell. And just in case you're hearing him in the audio, my puppy, he's 15. He's not feeling good, so you may have heard him whine. So I didn't want you to go, "What the hell is that noise?" All right, everybody, take care of yourself.